My mom wishes I was a hairstylist, and my dad, I think, is pretty proud. I'm sure my mom has some pride in there as well. We all grew up around the ocean, but I think for her, the danger and the potential for harm concerns her quite a bit. I think my dad is very proud. He loves the ocean. Both my parents sail regularly on little boats, and I think he's very proud that I've chosen to make the ocean my profession. The very first fishing experience I had was to pack up a guy's belongings, put it in a duffel bag, and take it up to a net locker because the captain didn't want to handle any of his stuff. He'd fished with that deckhand for 20 years and didn't know how he was going to explain to the wife and kids back in Monterey, California, that he had passed away. The average day is a 20-hour work day. A competitive commercial fisherman does a 40-hour work week in 2 days. And during derby seasons, which for us would be the winter with Dungeness crab, we will do that process for about 3 months. Most people, when they bitch about a day's work, they have no idea. First day of a lot of trips, I kind of sit there on the back deck and wonder, what am I doing? You know, everyone else is at home with their loved ones, and everyone else gets to work an 8-hour day and then just go home. Coming out on deck after sleeping for 2 hours is something that's pretty miserable sometimes. When you get a chance to shut down for 2 hours, the carpal tunnel and tendonitis will go nuts in your hands and your forearms. You'll wake up after a 2-hour sleep, and it's called the claw, but literally, you can't even open your hands. And instantly you're expected within a couple minutes to be with rain gear on, out on deck. I've put my right hand through the power block, which hauls crab pots up, numerous times, and I'm extremely lucky that I haven't done permanent damage to it. Last November, a good friend of mine was setting the deck crane back in position on the boat and set it down just above his wrist bone and severed his hand completely in just a matter of a second, setting some hydraulics down. Every single winter since I've fished here, which has been 4 years now, I have personally known someone who's died from the sport. It was extremely tough for me in my 20s to try to figure out what I did want to do for a living. And until I found this fishing, there wasn't anything that I really felt I could apply myself to do and do a real good job doing it and actually find enjoyment. My favorite part about commercial fishing is that Henry Ford never designed our work week. Mother Nature is the one that dictates our schedule versus Monday through Friday thing, which in my mind was too monotonous to want to do. I could never see myself behind a desk. I live in what I consider one of the most beautiful places in the world. I have an amazing fiance. I'm more in love with this girl than I could ever imagine being. She's my best friend. There is an absolute passion that I see from some of the great captains. They choose to do this. Many of the guys that I fished for could sell their permits and their boat today and never ever need to work again, and odds are the kids wouldn't have to work as well. It is absolutely unreal to sit 200, 300, 400 miles offshore in the summer fishing tuna. You can see more activity in that little bit of water than you can imagine seeing anywhere in the world. When we run crab gear, there'll be 2 guys on the rail at least, and those guys will stand there and run about 500 pots a day, 500 crab pots a day, which is unbearable in the sense that just the block that spins, bringing the line and the crab pot up, will create a spray of cold water that's going directly in your face all day long. We'll spend hours with axes cutting these skinned weasels up into thirds. But imagine being freezing cold, really wet, nauseous, and you can't focus, but yet you still have to balance on deck with an axe and cut skinned weasels into thirds. On the boat I learned a long line on, the Heidi Sue, they've had a couple guys prior to me that had the job of turning the tubs of hooks as they go off the boat. One of them had a hook enter in his palm and it left out the tip of his middle finger. The other guy had a hook go into the top of his hand and it bunched all the tendons for every single finger together into one wad. The potential both to get hooked as the gear is coming on the boat and as it's going off the boat is extremely great. We've had seas where we're dealing with 20 to 25 foot swell. That translates into a wave face of 30 to 40 feet if a wave was to stand up. Guys will have a lot of crab pots, and since it is a derby style, catch as much as you can catch fishery, people take considerable risk in the beginning of the season. Makes a huge difference. I mean, it's an absolute team effort out there, and it has to be, and there's a lot of trust between the guys to be able to interact in what potentially could always be a dangerous and extremely lethal job.